Hey everybody, so today we're going to have a look at how to commentate from replay, just the technical aspects of it. I get asked quite a few times how to go about this, so let's just dive into it, shall we? From the Gran Turismo home map screen, we are going to look. You can go two ways, so you can either go through Showcase or you can go through your feed. If you're looking for something that your friends have shared, then this is probably a good way to go about it. We're going to go into newsfeed. We're going to go and look at following usually, but sometimes that doesn't show up, which is weird. So you just have to go to my activity, which is your save replays, go back to following, and you should see the latest stuff from your feed. And I'd go around and I'd look for a specific video, started up, add it to my. I'd usually like it for the poster's sake, and then I'd go down and add it into my collection, like so, just pressing X, okay, and then you're just going to scroll through. This is how I usually find my connections stuff for my clients. They will share what they want me to commentate over, so I'll just find it this way. In fact, there's the G1 Sprint, for example, for SVR. The other way of doing it, if you're not friends with the people or you want to get some experience and use some different types of events, that maybe drivers that you're not familiar with, drivers you're not even watching, as it were, I would go with the content search within Showcase. So I want to change content type down to replays. Obviously, that will narrow down your search, and then you can either go ahead and just go for content search like so, and you'll just get a random bunch of stuff, usually the latest stuff, usually stuff that people feel like sharing out there. Sunday Cup Classic, I don't know, just looking at that, I quite like the look of that one. Again, like it, view it, and set it up. So I'm just going to go, what I would do is add anything that I like the look of to my collection. GT7 gives you a selection of stuff, and you can refine down to replays. You can look at trending. I think that's how I found the touring car event from Mad Lou Dog. How I found very early on in the F3 3500 cycle, the guy who'd done the 1993 Japanese Grand Prix, which was awesome. So I commentated over that. So yeah, if you want to find new and interesting things to commentate over, then this would be a great way to go about it. I'm going to load up the event that I'm about to go. So again, just find a video, add it to your collection. I'm just going to show that one more time. Like, collection, and you can load up directly from that page on the view button, but I'm just going to show you here. So I've got a bunch of stuff. These are my next things I need to commentate over, so we're going to load this one up. I've already liked it, added it to collection, and then we're just going to view it. This will take a minute or two. This is only a sprint race, so it won't take too long to get underway. And I will also talk to you a little bit about, on a different video, about how I set up OBS for the overlays you can see on the screen at the moment, and so on. Now, the most important thing to do right here as a commentator, and I almost went wrong, is unfortunately you have to completely ignore the tower on your right hand side. I'm even as we speak, I'm waving my hand over this area because I do not want to look at that tower on the right. Okay, that tower on the right is the spoiler. And maybe this doesn't bother you, but as a commentator, I want to see that result happen in real time. I want to see, when I'm commentating via replay and I don't know the result, it is really important to me that I don't find it out. So do your very best to be as disciplined as humanly possible, and do not look at that results screen. Try not to show it on your stream. So this is all prep that I do up to this point. Okay, so I get everything ready, and then I'm going to set this to replay. It's a rolling start, which is an interesting one. So this isn't necessarily something that I would normally set up, because you want to do your qualifying results. So I'm going to show you the qualifying result system that I use. May not be the best way, but it's the way that it's what I use. So let's have a look. Okay, so I prefer to make it as immersive and realistic an experience as possible. When I commentate, I try not to make it seem like I'm doing a sim race. This is a real race as far as I'm concerned. So I like to take off some of the stuff that sim platforms go ahead and put on the screen. Now, yes, I leave the driver information, the car information on the bottom of the screen, and I've got the timing tower, but I don't like floating names on the top of cars. Just as a side point, this is I think is really interesting how quote unquote real world or track broadcasts are going towards the esports gaming arena by putting floating stuff over the top of cars, particularly in the US ovals and stuff like that. But I personally prefer it this way. It's quite obvious when you're commentating for people watching over esports, because as I flick through the drivers, you can see the highlighted driver shows up on the tower on the left. So it's quite obvious what's going on for their sake and for the viewer, especially when you're in control, when you're the director, as I am with my PS5 controller in my hand right now. So I'm going to go to the back of the grid usually. Now, bear in mind, this is usually a grid start. R1 through the view settings. Unfortunately, the keyboard shortcuts don't work, and they just don't work when you're doing replays. So you kind of have to adjust your style here. Again, I'll do a video on keyboard shortcuts and how they help when you're commentating over a live lobby. Okay, but this is about replays. So what I'll do, normally I would just go from the rear of the car and announce the grid. So here is Nasty at the back. Here is Run DMC in 13th. The next row starts with Pumpkin King, for example. I've also had a request that I show a 3/4 or front view of the cars for the livery sake for the viewer. So this is something I've had to adjust to later on, and it's a little bit tricky. So I have to press circle to get my replay menu up. I have to press play. Then I have to rotate this particular view around to a 3/4 point, which means using my left thumb on my R3 button and pointing it to around 7-8 o'clock on the stick. That's then got to be held in position, and then I've got to pause it again. So that's why I've used my left thumb, and I've got my pause set up for my right hand on my X button. Okay, so this is how it works. You're going to press play, rotate round. This is around 4 o'clock. This is around 8 o'clock, and then you pause again. Now, what you have to do is hold your thumb in that position while you move your right hand over to your D-pad. Okay, so again, quite tricky. I'm going to press circle to get rid of the menu, because one of the things that I do when I'm doing this is I will talk about the condition of the cars, what tyre selections have been made. And the tyre selections, for those that don't know, you can see where it says RS. It's got a little picture of the car. The front is at the top, the rear is at the back. It is from the driver's perspective. So from the way we look at it, where it says RS, the 4 white triangles are the condition of the tyres. So everyone is likely to start on softs for a sprint race, but this is really important when it comes to doing an endurance race as to what tyres people have selected. Remember to reference the wind direction, top right of screen on your map. Excuse me for the frog in my throat today. And then, so this is where I would start. Remember, I am still holding that R3 right hand stick with my left thumb in an 8 o'clock position to hold this. So I'm going to say, right, Nasty starts at the back in 14th, and we've got soft tyres on. Okay, and then I'm going to press up and go up to the 13th place driver, and so on. And we're just going to talk about the tyres. Generally speaking, we're going to talk about the drivers, the liveries, any changes to the liveries, anything of note. This is a good time to do it. Go all the way up to the top of the race. Okay, then I'm going to be able to let go, because I've done everybody's livery from a 3/4 view perspective. I'm going to go back to my trackside camera, generally speaking, for the start of the race. I'm going to go down to usually, I would say, 4th or 5th position, because you would generally capture what's happening at the front of the race, but you don't want to miss what's going on in the middle, and there's an outside chance you'll capture something right at the very back. You can start from the back. We've got a reverse championship order grid start here, so for some drivers that would be quite interesting to show their POV from the very back. But then we would jump forward potentially, or would just replay the start from different people's perspective. Again, replaying happens from you press the circle. And then you've got your little cursor and you go back 10 seconds, 20 seconds in iterations. You can do slow motion. I don't tend to use slow motion actually, which is weird. But like I say, we don't have the opportunity to. So I'm going to pick a view that kind of shows plenty of cars before we get underway here. Sometimes the start cameras are atrocious, and they'll just be like they'll be showing a blade of grass, or they'll be from the rear of the start, or they'll be so far away that you can't really make out what's going on. I'm afraid you just kind of have to live with it. In GT7, there's only one trackside camera selection that you can use, but this is how I like to do it. Again, this is a style thing, so it's completely down to what you want to do. And then I'll just get ready to play the race. And I would just remind people the first 2 rows, for example, as we get underway, and then I would just go ahead and press play, and that's it. Now, the other thing to note is that no keyboard shortcuts will work during this replay for your keyboard either, so you can't select a non-sequential camera. And by that, I mean, here is your trackside camera. The next one is driver view. The one after that is the one you only get on controller, which is the gyro passenger seat cam, or the sort of over the shoulder on a Formula car. The next one is the front of the front bumper fender, no visible part of the car, but you do get a rear view mirror. Obviously on the hood, on the bonnet here, and then the rear chase, which you can manipulate again like we did earlier, using that right stick once the screen is in motion. So when you're commentating via replay, you either have to really flick very quickly through them, or be patient and just go every couple seconds. I don't like flicking too often around on the camera selection. I think that gives people a little bit of discomfort when they're watching, and it's the same with your car selection. So try to hold on each car as you cycle through, using your up and down D-pad buttons. Again, if you jump too often and you change camera in between, the viewer doesn't know what's going on. And I'm sure I'm guilty of this, and I'm sure you're going to call me out on times when I've done this, but I try to make it a smoother experience. And that's something that, if you see someone on your track map spin and you want to jump back quickly to that person, I would possibly even just pause the view, go back the required amount of time, sort your camera out, tell the viewer what you're doing. Say, I'm going to go looking for that accident, and then I just my sort of gut feeling here is that the viewer kind of appreciates that little bit of accommodation, because if you're just doing this and you're hopping around, I think the viewer just probably doesn't like that very much. So again, some people I'm sure are absolutely fine with it and know exactly what's going on, but for your casual viewer, for someone who's come in and into this race by accident, I just think saying, oh, do you know what? I think Breo's had a problem. No shade on Breo, but I will just then I will guide the viewer to understand what I'm doing with the camera selection, because under replay I can't skip by using the keyboard shortcuts I'll explain in another video. Well, there you go. That's what's going on. I'm about to commentate over this one, so I hope you tune in. But I hope that would be a little bit helpful for everybody. Let me know if you've got questions about commentating. Drop them in the comments below. Thanks so much, everybody.